welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty big coming out of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, a startup called Mechanize.
Exactly. Founded, what, April 2025?
Yeah.
By an AI researcher, Tamay Biziraglu.
Right, and their mission. Well, it's seriously ambitious.
You could say that. They're talking about the full automation of all work.
And the full automation of the economy. Just like that.
Okay, wow. Let's try and unpack that a bit. It sounds huge.
It is. What's really striking is just the sheer scope, you know? They're not just talking about automating bits and pieces.
No, I mean, like, AI agents doing pretty much any job humans do. Anything with economic value.
That seems to be the vision, though their starting point is, well, more focused. They're looking at white-collar jobs initially.
Right. So, okay, how? How are they even planning to approach something that sounds, well, almost impossible?
It sounds like sci-fi, I know. But their approach uses established AI and machine learning ideas.
Okay.
They're building what they call virtual work environments. Think of them as like really detailed simulations.
So places where AI can practice human tasks.
Exactly. They're also creating benchmarks, you know, ways to measure how well the AI is doing and gathering huge amounts of training data.
Mm-hmm.
The basic idea is the AI learns by doing, essentially, through these simulated real-world workflows.
Focusing on things like data entry first.
Yeah, data entry, content generation, research assistance, that kind of thing. It's a bit like reinforcement learning, you know? The AI tries things, figures out what works in its little virtual office.
But so instead of us training it step by step on real work, they're kind of creating this digital sandbox for it to learn on its own.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. It lets them iterate really fast, learn in a controlled space before maybe eventually using these agents in the real world.
And the economic side of this. Bizarroglu threw out a number. $60 trillion?
Yeah, $60 trillion, that's his estimate of the global total addressable market. Basically, all the wages paid annually everywhere.
Wow. And his argument is if they actually manage this full automation thing,
Then you'd see just explosive economic growth, like unprecedented, and much higher living standards for everyone, theoretically.
that's where it gets really interesting and maybe a little concerning too.
Well, yeah, if you connect that level of automation to the bigger economic picture,
Yeah.
you could unlock massive efficiency gains, maybe even create whole new industries we can't even imagine.
Okay.
But, it's a huge but, this vision, naturally, it's kicked up a lot of debate, a lot of criticism.
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing that jumps to mind for most people is jobs, right? Mass unemployment.
It's the obvious elephant in the room. If AI can do almost any job, what happens to the human workforce?
And beyond that, how does the wealth get shared? Does it just concentrate even more? And, what about purpose? If work disappears for many people,
That's a really deep question. What's the role of work beyond just paying the bills? The societal, the psychological impact? It could be profound.
and there are other layers too, right? Biziraglu himself, his background,
Mhm.
he was involved with AIPOD.
Yes, the AI research organization. And that connection has raised some eyebrows.
People are worried about potential bias. Like, could his role at Mechanize influence how AIPOD analyzes AI's economic impact?
Yeah, the concern is about objectivity. When you're dealing with tech this transformative, any hint of a conflict of interest can really damage public trust. It's crucial to seem impartial.
Still, despite all these worries and questions, Mechanize isn't exactly struggling for cash.
No, not at all. They've got some big names backing them. People like Nat Friedman, Daniel Gross.
Jeff Dean from Google, too.
Right. That kind of investment suggests some very influential, very experienced people see a real potential here. They believe in the vision, or at least parts of it.
That backing definitely signals something, yeah. Even with the huge technical hurdles they still need to jump.
And Mechanize themselves, they admit current AI isn't, perfect. Far from it.
They talk about AI being unreliable sometimes.
Yeah, reliability is a big one. Also, AI struggles with, like, long-term planning, and really complex, nuanced tasks are still difficult.
So their plan to fix that involves just better data, better testing.
Essentially, yes. Developing incredibly detailed training data and really rigorous ways to evaluate how the AI agents are performing. That's their core strategy.
Building AI that's consistent, reliable across tons of different tasks, that sounds like a monumental challenge in itself.
It absolutely is, especially in dynamic, real-world settings.
So, okay, pulling back a bit, what's our takeaway on this? Is this full automation vision actually realistic? Anytime soon, anyway.
Well, full automation of the entire economy. That feels pretty far off. Highly ambitious for the near term, let's say.
But maybe parts of it.
Exactly. The potential for significant automation in specific areas, especially those white-collar jobs they're targeting first, that seems much more plausible and definitely something to watch closely.
Yeah.
Their approach, the simulated environments, the data-driven learning, that could genuinely lead to big steps in automating routine, maybe even some quite complex cognitive work.
It really does feel like we're on the verge of some major shifts in how we think about work, the economy, everything.
I think so too. And that kind of leads to a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
Thinking longer term, if even just a significant chunk of work gets automated, what kind of societal changes, what economic adjustments do we need to start thinking about now? What new roles, what new purposes might people find in a future like that?
That is a very big question to end on.